apologizing for the weather, but I've come to find in recent experience that all Gilman commencements are accompanied by either rain, heat, or lightning. Let us now rise and join in the singing of the first stanza of our national anthem, and then remain standing for the invocation by the Reverend William George Scarlett III.
Let us pray. O God, who is near to us always, but whom we turn to so seldom, grant us a clearer vision of our past, that it may light our way in years to come. Keep bright within us old friendships, wise teachers, and loving parents. Help us to accept what sadness has been without bitterness or despair. Teach us not to forget our accomplishments, lest we believe we have nothing to offer. Instill within us a spirit of thankfulness that we may give to others as thou hast given to us. Amen.
We are particularly happy to have with us today to give the invocation and the benediction George Scarlett, a Gilman alumnus, class of 1963, who graduated from Yale University and Episcopal Theological Seminary in Cambridge, Massachusetts. George is now working on his doctorate in child development at Clark University. He is also the brother of Robert Scarlett, a member of our graduating class. George, it's wonderful to have you with us. On this 76th Founders Day, and the occasion when we celebrate the completion of studies at Gilman by an outstanding group of young men, it is fitting to emphasize the achievements of the class of 1973 and to pay tribute to their accomplishments. The highest degree of scholarly excellence in the graduating class is recognized by selection as valedictorian. It is an honor and a privilege for me to introduce to you a person who has not only achieved academic distinction, but he is an individual who combines to an unusually high degree intellectual capability, humility, and consistent dedication to excellence in his every endeavor. It is my pleasure to introduce Andrew David Burchad.
Mr. Finney, Mr. Daly, members of the Board of Trustees, parents, fellow students, ladies and gentlemen. It is traditional in America for parents to want to send their children to college. It is additionally an American tradition to believe that college transforms an ordinary child into a superior adult. It is with this belief in mind that the class of '73 tonight takes the first symbolic step toward that metamorphosis from adolescence to adulthood. Obviously, we shall leave here tonight with mixed emotions. The feeling of satisfaction and accomplishment is a gratifying one, but our uncertainty about the future and the prospect of learning in a totally new environment eliminates complacency. Each of us will depart for college with a certain amount of intellectual ability and curiosity, and with a desire to further our education. We hope to become enlightened human beings, contributors to our society. As unlikely as it may seem, many of us will emerge as well-educated human beings. It is also to be hoped that many of us will ultimately master the fundamental principles of the sciences and the arts, making it easier for us to adjust to the so-called outside world. Neither a Gilman education nor a college education will teach us how to become wealthy, if indeed that is our desire in life, but it will prepare us for the unpredictable variety of experiences with which we may be confronted, simply by teaching us how to think cognitively. At the risk of speaking heresy, I suggest that the training of the intellect should be sought as a source of happiness, for a higher degree of consciousness provides us with the joy of understanding, and understanding is a source of character. It is in this context that this graduating class should be praised, for despite the fact that we have a right to feel proud of numerous accomplishments, those achievements have been overshadowed by a blend of understanding and strength of character. It would be erroneous to say that this class was united throughout its years at Gilman. On the contrary, it often displayed a type of apathy which has come to be accepted as a symptom of our society. Yet the class was ultimately able to act in a responsible manner in times of calamity and to display a rare type of compassion in enduring the loss of a classmate. It is unfortunate that we often isolate ourselves behind a wall of apathy until we are jolted back into reality by shocking events. An occasion such as this tempts us to reminisce about the bygone days of Johnny Tremaine and the Call of the Wild, and reminiscence does have its point. But since our past years at Gilman have served to prepare us for the future, it is fitting for us to consider how we have profited from them. The increasingly complex, fragmented, and rapidly changing society which we shall enter provides greater diversity and choice, but it does not necessarily become more unified. Indeed, it risks inducing in the growth process discontinuities which our parents did not experience, and it will be more difficult for us as young people to develop an integrated life. An insidious discontinuity is the maturation of young people intellectually beyond their ability to integrate their knowledge into their emotional and social experiences. Society itself makes it difficult for us to integrate our emotions with our intellectual awareness, for society does not value emotional maturity as much as it does intellectual maturity. Our academic competence has been tested repeatedly, but our human effectiveness has not been so tested. Society will be improved, not necessarily by instituting a program of social reform through the schools or otherwise, but by the improvement of the individuals who compose it, for the individual is the heart of society. Thus, each individual on this stage tonight must ask himself whether his rational, moral, and spiritual powers have been developed to their fullest extent during the years which he has spent at Gilman. To live in our society, each individual needs moral virtues, and the strong moral and intellectual habits which Gilman has tried to foster in us are needed in these times as desperately as they have ever been needed in the past. The community rests on the moral nature of people. It requires communication among its members who do not necessarily have to agree with one another, but who must be able to understand one another. They must have a common purpose and a common concept of man and society adequate to hold the community together. This graduating class, as a part of that community, has had such a purpose and concept. We are grateful to the faculty, to the headmaster, to our parents, and to those classes which preceded us and are following us for giving us such a purpose and for sharing many experiences with us. We shall leave Gilman tonight with many fond memories and perhaps with a feeling of loss, but my hope for all of us is that we will continue to pursue those ideals which will enable us to grow as unique individuals and as sources of strength in society.
It is now my great pleasure to introduce an individual who, by virtue of both his elected position and his demonstrated leadership, is rightfully the spokesman for the senior class in the school. I give you the president of the class of 1973, who is also, by reason of this office, president of the school, William Sherman Reese.
I cannot help but recall, on looking outside and seeing the vast torrents of rain pouring down, that at the 300th commencement of Harvard College in 1936, rain was at that time threatening, and when the president of Harvard was asked if he thought it would rain, he said, "Not even God would rain on Harvard's graduation." Apparently, we don't enjoy the same position of preeminence with the Almighty, but hopefully it will stop raining by the time the ceremony is over. At the end of each school year, it is inevitable that some attempt will be made to characterize the graduating class, for filing purposes, so to speak. Like any sort of sweeping generalization, this activity is a dangerous one. Everybody has his own generalization, and people usually prefer their own. However, before everybody else does, I would like to put my own label on the class. That is the word tolerant. I do not mean by this that we barely tolerated each other. Certainly no one would say our class is united, which has become almost a traditional label for the senior class. The class of 1973 is one made up of students remarkably diverse in outlook and manner, so much so that the term unity would be a misnomer. We do not walk around slapping each other's backs and exclaiming over what a great bunch of fellows we are. But there is one trait in common in our class, and that is tolerance. We are willing to live and let live. We are not going to interfere with our classmates. This hardly means we're apathetic about each other and think only of ourselves and our own problems. Quite the contrary. We have learned, however, that 72 individuals cannot be judged on any single standard, and that each person, as an individual, must set his own standard for what his actions will be. Every person must conduct himself in his own way. Perhaps it would be pleasant if our class were a unified one that agreed on everything. But I think it is far more important that the members of this class tolerate the beliefs and actions of others, no matter how opposite to their own opinions those beliefs may be. Toleration of others must be the first essential step in human understanding. For this reason, I think, such perennial conflicts as the athletic-intellectual rift have failed to materialize in our class, not because we all played varsity sports or even because we all studied. It was because the members of what might have been two factions were willing to concede that there was some justice to the position of the other side. Our class has been free of these conflicts because although the basic differences exist, we do not attach any meaning to them, nor do we condemn others for not conforming to our own personal beliefs. We are, as I said, a diverse class, far too diverse to be reconciled to one point of view. But there is one point I think we all agree on. that tolerance for others, no matter how they differ from us, is more important for a class than for everyone in it to think alike.
Thank you, Billy. Before making the various awards which are customarily given at commencement, I want to take this opportunity to express our thanks to the donors who have made possible prizes which recognize accomplishment in many fields. We have printed in full the data on these awards in your program because they recall for us families and individuals who have contributed much to Gilman through the years. I shall begin with awards in the various branches of athletics. The Culver Football Cup is the large cup on the table to your left and is inscribed each year with the name of the best varsity football player in the opinion of the coaching staff. This year, the award goes jointly to Gregory Brian McMenemy Davis and David Harding Tickner. I just found out at a luncheon today that David Tickner has been selected as the Prep Athlete of the Year by all of the sports writers in the greater Baltimore area, and I think it would be well for David to stand and be recognized for this achievement. The C.B. Alexander Jr. Wrestling Cup is awarded to Gilman's best wrestler. Two boys have been selected to receive the award this year, and they are William Brewster Isaacs and David Harding Tickner. The class of 1939 basketball trophy is awarded to that varsity player who best combines fair play, leadership, and skill. This year, the award goes jointly to Bruce Gillum Barker and Alfred Henry Weems, Jr. We are privileged to have Alfred's father receive the award for his son. The Tyler Campbell Lacrosse Cup is awarded to that varsity player who is most valuable to his team and who has shown leadership and true sportsmanship throughout the season. This year, the award goes to William Henry Hazelhurst, Jr. The Alumni Baseball Cup is awarded to the boy who has been of greatest service to the varsity team. And the award this year goes to two boys, Henry Fleming Jr. and Carlos Post Olegair. We'll give both awards to Henry, and that'll serve Carlos right. The C. David Harris Jr. Tennis Award is given to the player whose ability and dedication have made the greatest contribution to the team. This year, the award goes to Bennett Scott Swearing. The Donald Hoffman Memorial Track Cup is awarded to that boy who, in the opinion of the cross-country coach, has best combined effort, achievement in cross-country. The award this year goes to Walter Joseph Carton. The William Cabell Bruce Jr. Athletic Prize is awarded to the boy in one of the four upper forms most conspicuous for general proficiency in athletic sports and exercises during the past 2 years, and this without having incurred the reproach of questionable conduct. This year, it gives me great pleasure to present this award to Gregory Brian McMenemy Davis. Before coming to the academic awards, I would like to point out that at morning assembly 2 weeks ago, there were presented certain prizes offered by the alumni associations of Brown, Yale, Harvard, and Princeton universities and Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Also presented at that time were the Caruso Music Prize and the Wren Art Prize. Information regarding the recipients of all these awards is published in the commencement issue of the Gilman News, which will be available at the door after these proceedings are concluded. I also call your attention to the academic honor roll, which is enclosed in your Founders Day program. And we would like to congratulate those boys who have won this distinction. I would like to pause now to speak of the departure of two of our veteran faculty members. Mr. Claude Edeline, who joined our Modern Language Department in 1964, is leaving Gilman to go into the travel agency business. Mr. Edeline will be remembered by boys and faculty alike for his inspired teaching and coaching, and in particular for his wonderfully warm and friendly personality, and for being the prime mover in creating and building Gilman's fine soccer program. As a token of our esteem and appreciation, I ask that Mr. Edeline please come forward to receive an etching of the school to help him remember his association with Gilman. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize officially another Gilman faculty member whose career and contribution to this school are unsurpassed. Mr. Roy C. Barker came to Gilman in 1946. He became head of the English department in 1947. And in addition to being one of the finest teachers any school has ever had, at one time or another, he served as faculty advisor to the News, the Literary Club, the Literary Magazine, and he coached varsity tennis with great success. He is one of our faculty members as a coach, or our teacher coaches whose teams have won in excess of 100 victories. When I reflect on the totality of the Gilman educational experience, I think of the highly disciplined quality of writing and expression which Roy Barker has instilled in his department and in countless numbers of students as one of our greatest academic strengths. Indeed, it is hard to imagine the next school year beginning without him. The strength of his personality, some people might call it stubbornness at times, his complete dedication and loyalty to the Gilman School, and the wonderful presence of his lovely wife will be sorely missed. Fortunately, although Mr. Barker will be on sabbatical for the coming year and his full-time involvement with Gilman concludes this June, I am grateful and happy to report that he has consented to do some part-time teaching at Gilman beginning in September '74. And it is my hope that he will at least continue this status until the year 2000, if not longer. I would now like to call on Mr. H.A. Downs, who succeeds Mr. Barker as head of the English department, to come on the stage for the purpose of making a presentation. Mr. Downs.
If Mr. Finney is apprehensive about the future of the school, you can imagine how I feel taking over after Mr. Barker. And if I am apprehensive, you can imagine how the members of the English department themselves feel too. And we also are happy to think that he will come back with us after a year's absence. As the day of Roy Barker's retirement approached, much thought went into how that event should be signaled. A natural phenomenon like Halley's Comet, an eclipse of the sun, or Roy C. Barker simply cannot be allowed to leave our ken without some fitting ceremony. Somehow, a gift seemed unworthy. You do not present Halley's Comet with a gold watch or a silver service. And so, knowing Roy Barker's lifelong love affair with words, we decided to solicit contributions to a scrapbook. Letters, old papers with Barker's volcanic marginal comments, anecdotes detailing the fabled Barker temper. It was a gamble, of course. What would we do if only a handful responded to our invitation? We need not have worried. We obtained the fattest scrapbook in stock at Lucas Brothers, loose-leaved and presumably infinitely expandable. And as of this moment, the rings will barely meet. And we are perfectly certain that more contributions are on the way. We hereby undertake to supply a second volume to deal with the overflow. I wish that time permitted me to share some of the entries with you. They range from the outrageous to the touching. The epitaph of Sir Christopher Wren in St. Paul's Cathedral in London reads, "If you would see his monument, look about you." Now, Roy Barker needs no epitaph, for he is hale and hearty and will remain so long after his juniors are steering wheelchairs. But the phrase cries out for revision. If you would see Roy Barker's monument, look about you. In this city, and literally all over the world, you will find it in 1,000 men, some young, some not so young, who are stronger, brighter, more compassionate, in a word, better, because they knew Roy Barker. I ask Roy to come forward as I paraphrase a line from his favorite play. He is a man, take him for all in all, we shall not see his like again.
Thank you, Jerry, and thank you, Roy. The prizes for highest scholarship in each form have been provided by Mr. William S. Thomas. Listed in your program are the names of the persons in whose honor the prizes are given. I ask the winners of prizes for highest scholarship in each form to come up as a group. I will now call their names. For the third form, Arthur Menandier Cromwell and William John Gonzalez. For the fourth form, Thomas Alfred William Miller. For the fifth form, Andrew Halfin Braderman. For the sixth form, Henry David Kahn. Please come forward. It also gives me a great pleasure to make reference to the achievement of the members of the class of 1973 in the annual National Merit Scholarship Tests taken by close to 1 million students in this country during their junior year. We are very proud of the fact that 30 graduating seniors, or some 40% of the class of 1973, were named as finalists, semifinalists, or letter of commendation winners in the National Merit and National Achievement Scholarship programs. I also have another announcement which comes to me at the 11th hour, but I would not want this moment to pass without sharing it with you. We just received a call from the Sun papers telling us about an Associated Press release, and find to our delight and great pride that Bernard Roycroft James has been named a Presidential Scholar, and he happens to be the third Gilman graduate to receive this distinction. And I would like Bo, if you would please, to stand. After practicing Bo's first name, Bernard, several times, I managed to do it the wrong way on the 8th time. It'll happen again, I'm afraid. The Lewis Omer Woodward Prize is given to that member of the third form who has revealed in largest measure qualities of leadership, enthusiasm, and loyalty. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to present this award to John Mackenzie Fifth. Would he please come forward? The Armstrong Prizes for Poetry and Prose are given for the best lyrical verse contributed to the school's literary magazine and for the best imaginative prose. The award for prose goes to Thomas Charles Callanan and William Sherman Reese, and the award for poetry goes to John Clark Gavin. The Elizabeth Woolsey Gilman Prize is for the best examination on books, the reading of which is not required as part of the school curriculum. It goes to William Sherman Reese. The Junior Prize in the Elizabeth Woolsey Gilman competition is for the third or fourth former who shows the best critical appreciation of books designated. This year, it is awarded to Rosal Cathcart Thompson II. In regard to the Mrs. J. Crossan Cooper Debating Cup, the winning team in the school's final debate this year was the Areopagus, which upheld the negative side of the debate on the topic, resolved that amnesty should be granted to draft evaders and military deserters. The names of the winning team will be inscribed on the tall silver cup, which is on the table to my right. I ask the members of this winning team to rise at their seats as I read their names. Henry Ian Meyerberg, William Sherman Reese, Michael Joel Silver. The Dr. John M.T. Finney Senior Debating Prizes are awarded each year to the two outstanding speakers in the annual school debate. They are given this year to first speaker, William Sherman Reese, second best speaker, John Clark Gavin. The Cameron Debating Medallion is awarded for excellence in debating, based on the work in the 5th and 6th forms and in the final debate. This year, the award goes to William Sherman Reese. The Alex Randall Jr. Memorial Prize, awarded to that boy who has been outstanding in his interest and contribution to literary or publication activities, or has encouraged younger boys in these fields this year goes to Douglas Fraser Murray. The class of 1952 Drama Prize awarded each year to that member of the graduating class who has shown exceptional interest and aptitude in dramatics during his school career goes this year to 3 boys. They are Alexander Armstrong Jr., John Clark Gavin, Robert Bacon Scarlett. The John M.T. Finney Senior Essay Prize, made possible through the generosity of Mr. Richard F. Cleveland, is awarded to that member of the United States history classes who submits the best written essay on some current aspect of democracy. The subject for this year's essay was A Constitutional Crisis, Congress versus the Executive. What, why, what solution can you offer? The award this year goes to Andrew Jacob Felser. The Janvier Science Prize is given to that 5th or 6th former who has evidenced real interest and ability of a high order in the field of science. This year, it goes to Bernard Roycroft James. The Herbert E. Pickett Prize for General Proficiency in History is given to the boy in one of the 2 upper forms who has shown the greatest general interest and proficiency in history, as displayed not only in the classroom, but outside as well. The winner is Michael Joel Silver. The prize for proficiency in French is given by the Alliance Française to that member in the 5th or 6th form French class deemed most proficient by that department. This year, the award goes to G. Evans Hubbard II. Evans said he'd give me a little bit of a lesson in French immediately after these proceedings. The D.K. S.D. Fisher Nature Study Award goes to that boy in one of the upper 3 forms who, through his studies, reading, and activities, has developed a real interest, understanding, and appreciation of some field of natural history. This year, the award goes to Christopher White. Each year since 1962, the faculty has wanted to single out a few seniors to whom we feel especially indebted for helpfulness and many unsung contributions which have added greatly to the success of the school year. in spite of the risk of omitting a number of boys who are also deserving, and because of the significant contributions of the young men who make up the class of 1973, I would like to present, on behalf of the faculty, etchings of the school as an expression of our appreciation. I ask the four recipients to come forward as a group as I read their names, and I ask the audience to withhold their applause until after I have read all of the citations. The recipients are Andrew David Burshad, Frederick Christian Hansen III, Walter Royal III, Clarence Leander Young III. I would like to read you these citations. Andrew David Burshad, from the faculty, with appreciation for his unflagging determination to succeed, his steadfast commitment to excellence in every endeavor, and his modesty and gentle spirit. Frederick Christian Hansen III, from the faculty, with appreciation for the warmth and friendliness of his personality, his constancy of purpose and devotion to his responsibilities, and his ability always to recognize the best in others. Walter Royal III, from the faculty, with appreciation for his example of quiet determination and self-discipline, his moral and physical courage, and the depth and breadth of his many accomplishments. And Clarence Leander Young III, from the faculty, with appreciation for his helpfulness and unselfish spirit, his devotion and loyalty to the school, and his constancy of character and moral leadership. Thank you, John. The Peter P. Blanchard Award goes to that boy who, by his cheerfulness, in many ways has greatly contributed to the successful and pleasant life of the school. The award this year goes to two boys, Robert Bacon Scarlett and Louis Philip Gonzalez III. The Edward Fenimore Award is given to that senior whose Gilman career has been marked by accomplishment in which extraordinary courage, determination, and perseverance have been manifested. This year, the award goes to Gregory Brian McMenamy Davis and Alfred Henry Weems, Jr. The Daniel Baker Jr. Memorial Award, established by the late Dr. Mason F. Lord and continued through the generosity of the family, is given to a member of the graduating class who, through service and by reason of his life and character, has contributed to the general welfare of the school. The award this year goes to William Edward Hooper. The last prize is the William A. Fisher Medallion. It is given to a member of the upper 5th or 6th forms who has been in the school for 3 consecutive years. The medallion is awarded to a boy of high scholastic standing who has rendered the highest service that can be rendered to school by leadership based on the influence of character. The award this year goes to William Sherman Reese. Sitting here on the stage are 2 men to whom the Gilman School is greatly indebted for their leadership, hard work, and dedication on the behalf of the school. These men are Mr. Harris Jones, Jr., President of the Gilman Alumni Association, and Mr. Owen Daly, II, President of the Board of Trustees. It is now my pleasure to call upon Mr. Daly for a few words. Mr. Daly has been a member of our Board of Trustees since 1951. He succeeded Dr. I. Ridgway Trimble as president in 1969. He is a distinguished citizen and leader in the Baltimore community. He is a terrific source of support and inspiration, and it is an honor and a privilege to work with him for Gilman. I give you Mr. Owen Daly, II.
I will try to be very brief, because if active hands and an active mind make time pass, we've done an excellent job tonight. The clock says it's 10 minutes of 1. Right back there. I think each year I really have the best job, the best privilege, the best duty to get up here and say thank you. And really, where so many people share the toil, the task is really very light. And basically, I'm talking to the teachers, to the parents, to the alumni, to the trustees, and to you, yes, the students. And I think all of us should share in the pride of bringing us here through another school year. We've seen excellence of all kinds, and we've seen it rewarded here tonight. But I think we have seen it rewarded really in the education that comes from the Gilman School every day throughout the year, and the margin of excellence that we all believe to be Gilman. Your valedictorian and your president both talked about the apathy of the society. I think Bill Reese talked about the diversity and the non-unification of the class, maybe up until the last year, but he spoke most of tolerance. And I say enjoy these things, because I think it was Mark Twain who said it's better to be a young June bug than an old bird in paradise, and that comes quick enough, so enjoy it while you can. Some years ago, I had an opportunity to visit at the Harriman Estate in New York. We had quite an array of educators. And I took this down, and I found the notes here today, and I'd like to read it to you just because I believe it is one experience that this graduating class has not had here at Gilman. The students who would look beyond the windows are told too often that they must not have opinions on the times in which they are living because they know too little. That time cannot be taken now to explore their particular interests because the college boards are coming. That the interest of an individual cannot be gratified until he has met requirements in a field of study for which he has no aptitude. that a good, solid average is more advantageous than the development of a particular excellence. In short, the race to the top has put even the most earnest and conscientious teacher in the position of appearing to suggest to his students that the end of education is to be better than your neighbor rather than to do the best that your talents make possible. And I do submit to you gentlemen in the class of 1973 that this is one experience that you have not experienced here at Gilman. You have had teachers who have cared, you have known that for a long time, and I dare say you will not soon forget it. From all of us here to all of you, our best luck.
We've now come to the awarding of the diplomas. As is our custom, the diplomas will be presented to the members of the graduating class by the President of the Board of Trustees. The order of distribution of diplomas has again been determined by random selection. William Sherman Reese.
That's random.
Clarence L. Young III. Albert Daniel Adams, Jr. Oh, why don't you come and stay with your back to me, okay? This is very difficult to arrange, Mr. Daly. Melville Church Yearly. Alexander Armstrong, Jr. Terrence Zekon Wong. James F. Balder. Frederick Lewis Ware II. Bruce Gillum Barker. Alfred Henry Weems, Jr. Charles Christopher Bell. Richard Janney Washburn. Andrew David Burshad. Guy Whittick Warfield. Herbert John Bremerman III. Frederick Winfield Trice, Jr. Thomas Charles Callahan. David Harding Tickner. Lee Allen Kaplan. James Stiff Bowling Spraggins. Michael Allen Carter. Thomas Bradford Sinclair. Walter Joseph Carton. Michael Joel Silver. Noel Blair Hunter Cochran, Jr. Porter Nelson Symes. Kimberly Mark Corbin. David Patrick Sant. Richard Hillen Cromwell III. Robert Bacon Scarlett. Gregory Brian McMenamy Davis. Griffith Evans Hubbard II. William Upshur Hooper III. Walter Royal III. Mark Daly Farber. Edward Lee Rosenberg. William Edward Hooper. John Morgan Robinson, Jr. William Henry Hazelhurst, Jr. Douglas Michael Courtner. Frederick Christian Hansen III. Stephen Howard Parker. Roger Lee Hankin. Thomas Frederick Obrecht. Charles Baird Hundley. Henry Fleming, Jr. William Brewster Isaacs. Henry Ian Meyerberg. Richard Harcourt Fulton. Douglas Fraser Murray. Stephen Monroe Green. Keith Allen Mott. Yutaka Ishizaka. Thomas Keogh Galvin III. Lance Miyamoto. William Simpson Gorman. Bernard Roycroft James. John Clark Gavin. Scott Edward Melby. Louis Philippe Gonzalez III. Jeffrey Russell Jones. Robert H. Gettinger. John Alexander McGee V. Henry David Kahn. Ian McDowell Gilliland. Patrick X. Laurie. Christopher Lamb, Jr. Hunter Craig Lewis. Eric Sigurd Falsovic. Rob Allen McFarland. Alexander Kolobielski. William Walter Canwisher. Michael John Camptman. It is now my privilege to conclude these proceedings, and I don't intend to tax further your endurance and your patience. I would like to say in conclusion that this has been a very satisfying year for Gilman School. In many ways, a healthy balance of programs, individual and collective interests and accomplishments, and school and community spirit has been achieved. For this, we owe a special thanks to the leadership, enthusiasm, and contributions of the members of the class of 1973. On behalf of the faculty, we wish the class of '73 great success and satisfaction in their future endeavors. We will be following your progress with great interest and affection. And to the students returning, we are looking to the coming year with great anticipation. We have opportunities awaiting us, and once again, let me express the hope that whatever we attempt to do, we may do to the very best of our ability and with due regard for our fellow man. I extend to the whole school very best wishes for a happy, constructive, and useful summer vacation. Let us conclude with the hymn, O God, our help in ages past, and then the final stanza of America. Thereafter, we will remain standing for the benediction. Following the benediction, I ask that the audience please remain in their places until the students in grades 9 through 11 have filed out. Let us rise and sing, O God, our help in ages past.
Let us pray. O Master of the hearts of men, help us to live so close to Thee that we may acquire by contagion the rebel passion of love which takes us out of ourselves and puts us in others' places, which makes us sit where they sit, see through their eyes, feel their neglects, frustrations, and injustices as our own. the love which resents and redresses the wrongs of others as readily as our own, the love which is the spirit of a just God moving in our hearts. Keep our compassion wise, fair, and strong to heal the victims of man's inhumanity to man. Help us to face the future without fear, trusting in your guidance, striving only to do your will. And grant to us that peace which passeth all understanding from this day forth and forevermore. Amen.